They'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs at
Yes, everybody. Russ and the West End Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Not so much of a happy Thursday, let's be honest. Feel a bit deflated after yesterday. Obviously losing to Liverpool at the London Stadium 2-1. A dubious a game that was ruined. I think it was ruined by Chris Kavanagh, the referee. I saw a stat on Twitter that Liverpool have a 91% win ratio when Chris Kavanagh is the referee. And there you go. Unbelievable, Jeff. Unbelievable. As I said, if you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. Obviously, as we always do, the day after, the night before, we do the ratings. I'll give you my views, you give me your views. And never the twain shall meet, to be honest. But sometimes we're sort of on the same page. And then we'll draw a line under it and move on. We'll move on. Because we've got Crystal Palace 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. Again, a short turnaround. In a similar way to like us versus the Liverpool game. And they had, I think they played on the Wednesday, we played on the Thursday. No, we played the Tuesday, Wednesday. And no, Saturday, Sunday. And now we're playing the Wednesday. And then Palace played on the Tuesday. So, yeah, hasn't worked out well for us, has it? I think the old scheduling, to be fair. My initial thoughts of the game were that, to be honest, 29 days. Was it 9 games in 27 days or something like that? It looked like it, didn't it? It looked like it, in my opinion. I think yesterday was a game too far. I mean, I haven't looked at the stats. I haven't looked at the players, but I would be surprised if there wasn't at least 50%, 60% of that squad had played all 9 of them games. There's going to be a few that have played all 9 of them games. So I think it's caught up a little bit with us now. But look, it's not the end of the world, is it? Let's be honest. It's not the end of the world. And we will move on as we always do, and as I said, it wasn't I think people were assuming we were going to get absolutely trounced by them, which we didn't. And I think there was a number of people who were also cautious of, Liverpool. And I mean, I thought we were going to get something out of the game. I generally thought we was going to get something out of the game, but we could have done. Another day would have been different. Another day would have been totally different. Anyway, let's talk ratings. And don't forget to get your comments in and get me interested to know your thoughts about the game. Obviously, you've had time to digest VAR. Now I've said my piece to Mr. Baker yesterday. I think that's to the letter. And actually, I was listening to it was on BT Sport. It was on BT Sport, and it was the presenter with Crouchy and the Cole twins, and I think she made a really good point. She was saying like the letter of the law. If a player is, it did make a change to if the player is falling down, therefore he puts his arm out in an unnatural position. It's not a penalty. It's not a handball, and I sort of get that. And I think but the issue is the inconsistency of that law. If that law is the law for everyone, then we know it. Now we know if we played that game 10 times, I think we'd probably get 50-60% of penalties. And I think that's the issue. Is that, I mean, Coley made a point. JC made a point saying, if that game was played at Anfield, would have that been given to Liverpool? Quite possibly, which is wrong. But I think there's definitely some justification for that. I think Crouchy was trying to be quite diplomatic, obviously being a Liverpool fan, but Coley plays Liverpool and West Ham, but mainly West Ham boy, and Colton was quite adamant in that fact as well, saying that it was definitely a case of that being a case, so in terms of it, sort of that Anfield biasness. But as I said, when your referee's got a 91% win rate for West Ham, for Liverpool rather, it just shows you the impact of a referee. But it is. Andy, good afternoon to you, my friend. I hope you're well. When we play on Saturday, Russ, 6 games in 16 days. Do you know what I mean? It's mental. It's mental. As Carlton said, Anfield get the penalty all day long. And I think Joe and Coley said the same. JC said the same. Crouch was there when he wasn't sort of, going too far into it, but we all knew that was what was implied. It's mental when you think about it, because there's so many. I just think there's so many. I mean, people talk about the offside. For me, it's offside. Even if you're a millimeter off, you're offside. It's there's a line. If you cross that line, you're offside. Whether it's a toe, a little toe, a shoe, not a shoelace, but a fingernail, you're offside. Whereas if the ball crosses the line, it's given. But it's the inaccuracies with using the handball rule. If every ball is hit handball in the penalty, then we all know that's the case, and so you probably give out 2 penalties a game, wouldn't you? Because there's always one, and the fact that it's stats. I mean, there was a bit of. I mean, people was like, I think Rashane, a few people said, "I wasn't checked." It was checked. It was checked during game by VAR immediately afterwards. I know that for a fact. It was checked, but it was a very quick check. And I think to the letter of the law, they were probably right. But the thing is, it's that inaccuracy of that. Acid Joe, how was that not handball? He stopped a goal chance by stopping the ball to Ings and was then able to clear the ball. Why did VAR not tell the ref to have a look at the playback? I do not know, Acid. I do not know. Chris Kavanagh was literally eye line, almost crouched down, looking at that when it happened, and so he had the best view of the house, and for him not to say anything, for him to not question it, because I think actually, regardless of what position, he was in the best position. It's just frustrating. I mean, you've looked at, I think, Souček against Chelsea. I was talking to Anton about yesterday. Same thing happened with Conor Gallagher's shot, and that's the thing. If it's the same rule for everyone, no problem at all. But the thing is, it's not. And as I said again, if you ran that same scenario 10 times, you're not going to get 10 no penalty calls. You're going to get maybe 4, maybe 5 penalties. And that's the issue, isn't it? And good afternoon to you, James. Once accepted, just twice just means his arm is on is in an unnatural position. True. For me, again, I just think it's his falling arm. If it was the other arm, definitely, but I know what you mean. For me, VAR allows the game to be manipulated in the favour of the officials, dictate the outcome of the Premier League. Afternoon, Mike, hope you're well. Is selective officiating to protect the big ESL 6. Why have the rules of the games been changed to stop goals rather than promoting the chance of scoring goals? I agree. It was always top 6 bias for officials, as they want them at the top. Thiago was looking at the ball when it hit him in the hand. He's hand twice. Knew that Ings was on the shoulder. Stopped the ball, allowing forward. VR check was 8 seconds. Check the badge. I will say what everyone is thinking. The officials are cheating runts. Was a top man on VAR, took 2 seconds. Check. It's all for top 6 teams only. It was a blatant penalty. I wonder what would have happened if it wasn't Liverpool and it was Crystal Palace and it was Eze who was in that position. Do you think they would have given the penalty? I still don't think they would have given the penalty. I honestly genuinely think that. But then, as you said, it's up to interpretation, isn't it? Clearly, there's we've got me and Anto had a difference of opinion yesterday, and he's up. He's totally up in, and that's the trouble. It's the interpretation. That's the issue. It's not the fact. I mean, it's not going to be changed. We know it's not going to be changed, but it again talks about VAR and talks about I did a rant ages ago about it. Go back and check it out. It was a rant about VAR and how it's not working and how it needs to be worked and stuff like that. But anyway, check it out. Sooner the so-called bug off to Super League, the better. Thought it was a penalty myself, but some of this tin foil hat stuff is mad. No, I agree, Luke. I think if it was the other way, would we say it's a penalty? I don't think we would, but I get Moyes' point about the fact is once you lunge, you lose all. I do understand, but I don't agree with it. I understand you lunge and you put yourself in danger, but I don't think you lunge and lose all capability of putting your hand down to break your fall. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just inconsistencies. Robbed to a blatant penalty. If it was at Anfield and one of ours did it, would be 100% given. I feel that Premier League officials are doing it to keep the Big Six in the big league because if we leave, it will devalue the Premier League and TV rights will halve. It's all about money. He lunged to the ball, so it was a clear handball, just crappy consistency. Mistakes happen, but why has the rules not been clarified and made finite? That's what I agree, James. Just like to me, it's all or nothing. I don't think once you put a caveat, that's when it can be abused. So, like the offside rule, once the ball's played, if you're in front of the last defender, regardless of whether it is that much or like Bowen was half a foot, you're offside. Simple. It's simple, but it's where there's open to interpretation. So, who says what an unnatural arm position is? For me, I thought he was falling, so it was a natural position. He was lunging and he was putting his arm out to steady his fall, which we all would do naturally anyway. So how does that? But then people say it's an unnatural one. So even so there's an issue there anyway. So I totally agree. Whenever a key decision threatens to go against that you can bet it goes their way. Even when they're playing stuff, you just know which way the ref will see it. If he had caught a player, he would have broken a leg. Well, he probably would have get a penalty and then we'd have got one. Okay, the first handball, but the second time he handballed it. Miles is in the chat. Bring on Palace indeed. Anyway, how good we'll talk about Paqueta in a minute. Yesterday, scored, looked offside, but then they draw a line after freeze framing, spend ages to give the goal. Bowen in real time, lines driven are drawn to suit. That was done very quickly, wasn't it? The Bowen one was done in game. It wasn't. It was very, very quick decision. Sometimes it is a bit quicker than others. I mean, there's sometimes where it does seem to take too long for some reason, and it might be because there was a goal we scored a few weeks ago, and the VAR took ages, like a good 4 or 5 minutes, because they were determining which body part. I think it was a Gaird's goal in the corner or free kick. Yeah, it was it. It was the Tilo Kehrer free kick, and a Gaird scored, I think. And they were trying to judge what part of his body was the nearest, the most likely to be offside, and it took forever. Can we ban certain? Thank you. That was it. Thank you. Can we ban certain refs from games like other clubs do? One look at it and one look at Antonio's. What is the difference? Need to win against Palace as we won't get anything from the 3 games after. Says Peter. Pete, we're all right, mate. Now we're all right now. Don't worry, we're all right now. I think we'll get something against what's name. I think we'll definitely get something against like Crystal Palace, just because I think they're on a downer. They'll be downer as well. I think we're a little bit further. I mean, they're a couple of games down there, Debbie down. I think we're only 1 down, and it wasn't even that bad. I think we should have won that game. I think the fact is because we can pin it to refereeing inconsistencies, it can galvanise a team. It can get people together. What just beat City? Stranger things have happened at sea, haven't they? I think if we should be part of the body, you score with it. But I am yet to run. FIFA. Shearer's saying no penalty match of the day. That was his beloved. Of course it would be, but it's the same as us, isn't it? I mean, if you see a thing, it's definitely not a penalty. But if it's your team, you think it's a penalty. Afternoon. Any Tim Cahill fans here? Random. When do we get our letter from Mike Dean? It's not Mike Dean now. It's what's that minute? It's Howard Webb, isn't it? My suggestion would be that each club will get 2 VAR. Yeah, I think they should do something like that. I think they should do like in tennis. You have you have sort of a call, can't you? You have a couple each set or something like that. Yep, I saw that stat. Mental, absolutely mental. Right, let's talk about. Let's do some. What's it called? Let's do some ratings. We still played the game. Let's do some ratings. Let's start with Fabianski. And obviously in the comments, give us your scores. Obviously, no half points. I'm looking at you, Peter Chelmsford. No half points, please. So anyway, Fabianski, where's my stat? Where's my bits of paper? I thought we played. Going back to the Bournemouth game, I thought we played very well. Fabianski did, but I think maybe. The first goal, I think it was a little bit taken by surprise. A little bit. They got chances later on, but they're relatively. To be honest, think about how many shots Liverpool had on target. I wouldn't say it's loads. I wouldn't say they dominated the shots on target at all. A couple of routine saves, a lot of off target. I think their shooting was very wayward. Again, the Matip goal, little we could do with. It was an okay game. He didn't really put much foot wrong. A couple of dodgy kicks out as always. Although I didn't think sometimes the team put him under a lot of pressure, the centre backs particularly in terms of the back passes, a lot of pace in them, and obviously we know Liverpool press from the front anyway. A red flag. Oh, okay, it makes sense. Makes sense. I think the only solution would be robot refs. No, I agree. Something like that, and don't have a ref on the field or something like that, and just have it. Yeah, something like that. 7, 6, 7 didn't put it wrong. 6, half point for Peter. Fab's never forgiven 6 points, 7 points. 7 could have done better with Matip goal, maybe, but I don't think that was his fault at all. Could have done better on their first goal, possibly. 7 from Luke. I've done the maths. Fab could have done better for the Gapo. Should have been better set, possibly. Okay. In rugby league, you have a captain's challenge. Should have been introduced if you win the challenge. Retain the right to do it again, but the challenge is denied. Yep, no, I agree, Alan. I think it's a great idea. Rusty B gave Fabianski a 6. It was an okay game. Okay game for Fabs, let's be honest. It was okay. Let's move on and talk about Soufal. Vladimir Soufal. He's been in great form, I think, recently. I think first half, objectively, I think Jota was more in his match, I think. Anything that Liverpool did came from the right-hand side, really. I think he gave the ball away something like 15 or 18 times before half time. So the first half wasn't great for him. I think second half was a lot better, but it wasn't his best game in terms of recent displays. But I think it was the side's best game in recent displays, to be honest. We got 9, 7, Beast Mode 8. Breaking news just seen online have put Godot on. Brilliant. Great goal. And I was there. 7-7. We need referrals like cricket. I agree. Has come back to life since Bowen has found form, but poor first half. 6. What we got here? Souffle was good again, and love to get his boot. I honestly go back. I'd love you to go back and watch. I don't think the first half we played very well at all, and I think Jota got the better of him. And as I said, he gave the ball away quite a lot. Second half was a lot stronger, I agree, but first half I think a very poor first half. So I think with Soufal, I think it's. He's now playing to such a high standard for him at the moment that he needs to get back to it. Souffle on the rise, very good. In terms of what Russie B gave him, I gave him a 6. I gave him a 6. Not his greatest game for us, but not a bad game after all. Let's talk about Zuma. Now, do you know what I thought? I thought both Zuma and Aged, I thought they were excellent yesterday. I genuinely thought they were excellent. I thought the number of clearances Zuma displayed in the game was high. I thought he and Aguirre played very well. Maybe you could say susceptible to not closing down Cody Gakpo enough, and gave him too much space. But to be honest, it was a good shot, and he's a good striker. And it was I wouldn't say you gave him loads of space, but it was enough for him to get the shot away. Some big clearances in the second half. I don't think him or Gerd were to blame for the Matip goal. I think it was Antonio and Benrahma lost his runner. And I think probably, bar one other player, I think they two was probably the best. They're probably the best. 6 is a massive rating. 7, Zuma. 6, 8, 7, 8, 7. Dodgy back pass, but 7. Beast mode from Zuma. 8. 8 best player in the squad. Watching him run hurts my knees. 7. Russie B also gave Mr. Zuma a 7 for the late great Len Goodman. Massive West Ham fan, old Len was. God rest his soul. Let's talk about Naif, his partner in crime. Do you know what? I thought I thought he played really well yesterday. I think his pace kept the likes of. There were several times where Salah was running through, or Diaz or Jota, and he matched them for pace and got the tackle in. Some really good last ditch tackles from him, I thought. Again, a number of key blocks. I think he had more blocks than the rest of Liverpool put together in terms of what he did on his own. So they sort of reduced the amount of saves that Fabianski had to make. I thought it was probably one of his best games for a while, really. Pace was well. I think if he wasn't playing, Liverpool would have had a lot more joy. Maybe even got a couple more goals, to be honest. Zuma is a rock, does the hard graft while does the flare pass. I agree, Alan. You've got guile and grit, haven't you, between the two of them? 7, 8, starting more confidence and more secure. 8, 7, 7, both were solid. 8, 8, 8, 8. Had a brilliant tackle in him, and he's getting back his confidence. I agree. I gave him a 7 because obviously we lost and conceded 2 goals, regardless of what happens to the defense. But it's a good game for him. Very good game for him. Let's move on, like Donkey Kong, and talk about the man with the magic hat, Aaron Cresswell. Decent game for Aaron as well, I thought. He's had this. It reminds me of Nobes. Every year you think he's gone, and then he puts 2 or 3 games together, and you think, wow, you're actually playing quite good. And that's what happened with Aaron, definitely. Yesterday. Did a lot defensively good stuff. Clearances, relieve pressure. They weren't having much joy down that left-hand side, or down Aaron's left-hand side, their right-hand side. They were more concentrated on the left-hand side, so having more joy down the right with Soufal. Corners, goods. Did we do much wrong? Don't think we did much wrong, really, to be honest. Playing for a new contract, maybe. Who knows? No, I think it's 8, just as solid as Zuma. Ramadan over, we'll see the best now. Yep, and Zuma as well, but not Benrahma for some reason. When did we sell Garland Grit? Indeed, Watercrest needs a rest. 6, 6, 6, 7, 7. Surprisingly, didn't get overrun, but he didn't get overrun when we played against Arsenal with Saka, really, did we? 6, 6. Defenders not a fault for either goal. Should have closed down first goal and make it. Yep, fair enough. Recoveries are excellent. They certainly are. 7, 7, 6, and 10 for the Magic Cat. Russie B gives Aaron Cresswell a 6. So it's sort of on the same page, kind of. Only one out. GP gave him a 7. Let's talk about Declan Rice. Declan Rice, 1 more year. Do you think we can get 1 more year out of him? I've got a feeling that tonight's going to be a good night. No, I don't know. I think it's just blind optimism. But I just think his upturning form and another major rebuild over the summer. Maybe. I mean, although he's got 2 years left in his contract. He's got 1 year plus the added years. He's got 2 years left in his contract. So, you've got, if he left next year, you'd want to time down to another couple of year contract so we maintain that money. But I don't know. Victor says no. Adam says yes. I think he will stay. Michael says yes. Michael Liverpool says yes. Michael Blees says if we win a cup, maybe, but his dad is his agent. He certainly is. Zalusi Dish says a new manager that doesn't wait till forever to use them. Who knows? Anyway, Declan Rice, obviously, Catholic hot streak of goals, which is quite unusual for him, isn't it? He scored against Ghent and Bournemouth. Mixed game, I thought it was quality. I think sometimes he tried to do a little bit too much on the ball, which he hasn't done recently. He's been more sort of trying not to do everything. But yesterday, I don't know. Just because maybe he's playing Liverpool, maybe he thought that he could, dominate that midfield a little bit more than he did. Some good chances. There was a great ball through for Cornet. Put some good tackles in. I'd say a slight dip, ever so slight dip in the levels he's been in the last few games, and that's being proper stato. That is in terms of saying that. Tired 8, 10, 7. He was talked about the best player on the pitch, but he's quite in position. Just an average game. Average 8. Looked down after the Gappo goal. If Chelsea next year get Champions League, I think he is the move he wants. Well, maybe with Pochettino as well. 7, 8. Not one of Deck's best games. 7. Take Deck's out the squad and become Millwall. Give him number 6 would string me. Great shout. Wouldn't that be a good shout? Well, it will never happen, but it'd be a good shout. Rice 7, 7, 7, 7. Whoever owns the club in the summer, indeed, get your new shirt and order GP. We should give that to our best player to give the legacy going. Latest in the club sale, not much that I heard. There was talk about Tripp selling shares to Kuczynski. I don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, Rusty B gives Declan Rice a 7. Not my man of the match. Let's talk about someone who's only going to get better. Our Brazilian Manny Figo. Obviously, again, bit similar to Rice. Both were coming off. Him and Rice both coming off goals. Hot streaks. He scored against Ghent and Bournemouth, and then in the same minute he scored against Bournemouth. He scored against Liverpool, which was funny. Started and ended with him. I mean, it's a great goal. It's a great individual goal. Good play from Ben Rama and Antonio to get him going. I thought apparently it's the first time he scored goals in 3 successive games since April 2021, which was for Lyon. Kicked on, looked good in possession. Both in terms of close control, moving quickly, constantly being a source of creativity. For me, it reminds me a lot of Carlos Tevez. When we had Carlos Tevez, he spent the first few weeks like a headless chicken, running everywhere, getting involved. And I think Paqueta did that, maybe for the first 6-7 months. He's always been trying to get everywhere. And now it's almost like, I remember it was Curbs went to Tevez, right, you stay up front and we give you the ball. He's definitely playing more forward. He drops in and does a little bit of sort of defending, but he's definitely more on the attack side than he has been. We bought him as a 10. We converted him to like an 8, and now we're sort of pushing him back out to a 10. It seemed a little bit, pushing him forward a little bit with Souček sort of and Rice doing the more defensive work, and it makes a massive difference. Massive difference. 9, 8, 8, 8, 8. I think Tripp is selling his shares to a sovereign wealth club. Interesting. 8. Everyone talks about the bollocks, but they go, that's the trouble. Yeah, it did. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 9. He also gets an 8. He's my man of the match. Mr. Paqueta is my man of the match. Let's move on like Donkey Kong, and let's talk about Mr. Souček. Where's my notes? Do you know what? He played all right. He wasn't spectacular. He wasn't someone you were going to say, oh my God, he's amazing. A lot of stuff he did, I think, went under the radar a little bit, as it always does with Thomas. On the ball, I thought he played it forward okay. He was quite actually a little bit progressive more than usual, looking to bring the ball forward quite a bit. Even though some of the quality might have been lacking in the passes, what he brings a doggedness, an intent. He tries, he fights for the ball, he just does a lot of hard work, and he could have. He created a good move, a powerful header, had one at the end, which, went over the bar. Not his worst game, but not his best game. I thought he played okay. Paqueta did get knackered towards the end, gave the ball away, but he's capable of magic when he's standing there. 8, some of the new boys are showing signs of settling into the Premier League. Lucas Paqueta. Yeah, we needed a Brazilian song though. 7, 6, bang average, 10. Needs to be converted back up to CDM. 6, 6, 6, 6 or 7 or 6.5. No half points. It's game 6, 7 for ladies. Best game of the season, taking up space. Did still make 0 assists, tackles, and 10% pass rate. These are S6. There's donkey work, freeing up Pac-Man and Rice. I agree, Michael. I also gave him a 6. Who's next? Budden? Good question. Let's talk about Said. I mean, obviously, when we saw when I heard the team was unchanged for Bournemouth, I was a bit surprised because I thought, how has Said Benrahma kept his place in the starting lineup? Now, this was a player who everyone wanted us to play all the time, and people were frustrated at Moyes for not picking him. Now they do pick him. He's not doing it. He isn't doing it. Let's be honest. He's not doing it. I'm really surprised he kept his place. I'm surprised that Fornals wasn't in instead, or maybe Maxwell Cornet. It's not like we haven't got options. Wasted some chances. There were some flashes as always. There was a clever flick he did to Cresswell, I think, in the clearance, which started the move for Paqueta's goal. Behind that, and one clever cross he did. His passing was off. His final third quality was off. And he was one of the 2 replacements. They hooked him off, didn't they? And there's one part where I think it was in the second half where the ball, and he sort of, he was trying to flick it over to Antonio and totally misjudged the strength of it. And you saw Moyes, Nolan, and Phelan both throw their hands up in the air, and pretty much he was subbed straight away. He needs a bit of taking off for a little bit, I think there. Benrahma is poor. 5, 4, 5, 5, 5, 4, 7. Woeful finishing 5. Good championship player, but don't cut it in the Premier League. I don't think he's a championship player. I think he can play it in the Premier League, but it just needs. He does seem to have almost like he's playing a computer game. His energy levels are running out, so he needs to boost his energy levels back out. And actually, sometimes it's the wrong time to play Said. When the game's tight, or when the other team have got a lot of ball, you don't play him, because actually he gives the ball away a lot because he's trying things. And if they get the ball back, you're never going to get it back off him again, like yesterday. But someone like Fornals in, who's just going to be tenacious and just run against, I think he'd have put so much more pressure on the Liverpool back line. It would have been a lot better, I think. Sell him, says Cockney. 6, form is tailing off. He's dropping at 15 minutes of play. He needs to practice shooting. Is a yo-yo so frustrating? He was absolutely fine, but no idea what team he was on. The new Antonio, random 0 to 9. Love Benny, but 5. Benny and Bowen need upgrading, says Ben. I think definitely the first one. Not too sure about the second one. I gave him a 6. I didn't think he deserved 5, but just the poorest of a bunch, I think. Maybe a 5, actually. I don't know. Let's talk about Jared. Should have deserved the goal. Thought he scored. Obviously just offside. Did really well with that, shot, cut inside, and got the ball past Van Dijk pretty easily, to be honest. He caused problems for Randy Robertson pretty much most of the first half. Barring his goal, other chances he had the run, but just not the shot final. Remained obviously good outlet as always good outlet. Always available, lots of space, and sometimes I think we're usually a bit slow to get that crossfield ball. Seems we have to go into the middle and then crossfield it, which sort of delays it. I think a bit of sharper passing would have probably got him in a bit more. I think. What we got? It was a game for 4 nows, indeed. Great point. Thank you, Scott. We'll be back in a relegation tournament if Moyes keeps flogging the same players as he's not learnt from last season. Exactly, Victor. I think you're right. I think yesterday, the fact is because we've lost, there's an excuse now to make a couple of changes for Saturday. With such a short turnaround. And then obviously then you've got City. You're thinking, well, City at Etihad, they took Arsenal and you on yesterday, really, didn't they, in all honesty? So could it be that they maybe try a slightly weaker side with the Man United game coming up on Sunday? Don't know. 8-7. How is the player supposed to be offside? Cut his toes off. Well, he's offside. Any GP. He's offside by 2 centimeters. You start your run 2 centimeters back. It's at least it's cut and dry, unlike the handball situation. Super smashing great. 7, 6, 7. That was for Benny. 8, 7, 7. 5 games, 13 game. Yeah, and don't forget he's got his twins coming soon, so we'll definitely see his form drop then. 8 for Noise' dad. They know exactly how it feels. Playing 18s against City, could you imagine? Although we were playing against their 18s, weren't we, in the national playoffs, which I think is going to be a few days' time. Yeah, totally, GP. You're totally right. You're totally right. And that's the trouble because there hasn't been a clear cut. This, it's like there's interpretation. When there's interpretation, it can be abused. If it hits your hand, if everything hits your hand is a penalty, fair enough. But it's the same for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of whether you're in the top 6 or not. Offside is the same. Offside is if you're in front of the player, you're offside. If it's 2 centimeters, it's still. If it's 2 millimeters, it's still offside. If the ball crosses the line, even if it's by a millimeter, it's crossed the line. But it's where there's the VAR doesn't work where there is interpretation. That's the trouble. That's the trouble for me. And the trouble is when there is interpretation, that's when it can be abused. Whether you think there's a big 6 biases or not, when something is open to interpretation, it can be abused. It can be changed. It can be talked about. It can be talked around. You can have multiple camera angles. You can slow the footage down. You can speed it up for real time. So there's loads of things you can do. And that's my problem with VAR. I'd rather say anything. If the ball hits your hand, hits your arm from the sleeve down, it's a penalty. It's a penalty, and then it's the same for everyone. Then, but it's not. They should have a phone-in idle style instead of a VAR. Indeed, top 6 clubs are to be given goals when they're offside more than the rest. But then, Peter, if it's, I know, I understand what you mean. I do understand what you mean. But if it's offside, it's offside. The lines are drawn, and you can't, unless someone draws the wrong line, which could happen. But with technology now, they are working on this AI augmented reality, aren't they? They did a little bit for the World Cup. They tested it. So it's almost you don't need to draw the lines because based on it's all like plotting all the players on the pitch and stuff like that. It's the same for everyone, Russ. Someone should analyse the VAR calls. Yeah, fair play. Yeah, but regards to that, Howard, there's not really no difference with that, is it? But it is about having that cut and dry. This or that, done. If you choose to dive down, then your arms are an issue. Same. If if the ball kicks you and your hands are like that and it hits your arm, it still hits your arm. You don't get out of the way of it, innit? Same ways. If you're out on the pitch and that happened, if that happened on the pitch, like not in the penalty, it would be a free kick to West Ham. Definitely. And that's the problem. It then not is converted into the penalty. That's the problem. Was a pen. Suchek had a handball given against him when his arms were by the side. How's the difference? That's what I agree. That's what I agree. No, totally. We'll just be kicking the ball. Defends up. Don't care. Same for everyone. Isn't it? Do you think some have favourite? They must have. Yeah, we know that refs have everyone supports a team, so quite possibly looks buggered. He runs everywhere. Anyway, we'll come back to it. AI will be a literal game changer by 2026 World Cup. They need an independent VAR who can overturn such decisions. Too many mistakes and apologies making a difference. There's been, I think, 11 official apologies since VAR has come into place. Go back and check out my rant. I go through all the stats and stuff. Anyway, Bowen. 7 to everyone else, 7s and 8s. I gave him a 7. Last but no means, let's talk about Mickey Antonio, who, I'm not his biggest fan, but I think the last couple of games he's been playing really well. He's been in beast mode. He's been the Mickey Antonio we've wanted for the last, Christ knows, last year maybe. And so, he was on a hot streak as well in terms of goals. Didn't get a goal, but I thought first off he was excellent in terms of his hold up play. Stretched the play, that sort of the whole sort of play with Paqueta, fair play, did well. Wasn't quick enough to Ben Rama on one break at the end, and it was him who let Matip go for the goal. Very clearly. Miss was like inches away from scoring in the first half, wasn't it? The ball flashed across the goal, and Van Dijk got literally a toe end to it. He was taken off pretty much as soon as that goal had happened, him and Ben Rama. So, whether there was anything in there, came close twice at the end. It was also a header he steered wide as well. But we know that Antonio, we know he's going to miss more than he scores. But I thought he played well again, considering he's played a lot of games recently. I thought he played okay. Actually, I thought he played okay. What we got? Missed some good chances. 7-7-7. Kavanagh on the payroll should give VAR people lie detectors and ask them what team they support. They need mics. To understand the reasons. Yeah, I agree. 6 needs to play. Well, he played on the left wing most of the games. 7 has been an 8, but looked knackered. 7, 8. Gonad's wide up and shot if they get a VAR call wrong. We should watch Ted Lasso. Toby, how on earth is he supposed to mark Matip though? He didn't even mark him. He let him run. He let you watch that game again, and he moves. He literally moves backwards, and Matip always runs in front of him, and he's like, "Oh." He lost his marker. But again, maybe he should be marking him. You're totally right. Maybe it should be defenders mark defenders, forward mark forward. I don't know, but anyway, been flogged to death. At least the weekend to come. Yeah, obviously you can tell why Obama wasn't there around, because obviously he's playing the 18s the day before. But yeah, could have done it with a rest last, in my opinion. But Moyes left to flog him again at 6. 7 team looking tired now. So many games. Such we get to the 12th week. Indeed, and Palace get an extra day as well. Beast 6. Rusty B gave him a 7. I thought he played very well, and I thought he was unlucky not to actually have been taken off, because he was playing so much on the left. I would have probably just left him on the left and put Cornet through the middle, or put Ings through the middle. I don't know, but anyway, I need to block him, and the goal would have never happened. Indeed, that's what I mean. Was focused on and did not track the run of Matip, but I think Matip was his man. That's the trouble. Anyway. So regards to that, we move on now. We've got Crystal Palace coming up, and yes, Crystal Palace coming up, and we'll have all the stuff coming up for that. It's all the previews and bits and bobs. We've got Hammers headlines tonight, a few transfer rumours, a story about Cresswell as well. We've also got this morning we had Holly doing a show about David Moyes. What does Moyes need to do to stay at West Ham? Just as a thought piece, to get all your comments and ideas through on that. So please go back. Only a couple of minutes long, but it's an interesting start of a thing. We've all spoken about it, but maybe collating that. And she took to Twitter. She asked the same question on Twitter, got lots of responses, and it's almost like an individual tweet all about it, but just on one subject. And we call it Twitter Talk. So check that out. And then tomorrow we should have lunchtime live, have your say, Irish Tommy, the presser. Saturday we've got Crystal Palace and all the fallout from that. And probably Sunday we'll have a My Hammers 11 with a celebrity hammer coming up. And anyone who's on the channel membership knows who it is, because I've asked you to send me some questions. So it'd be great to see. Yes, we will get Holly and Emoticon. Yes, definitely. Anyway. So apart from that, I hope you have a good rest of the day. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble. Keep the faith, my friends. Come on, you bloody irons. And I'll see you at about 3-4 o'clock for Hammers Headlines. Bye.